You see, there's a weight that comes with being chosen. Everybody loves the glory, but few can carry the grind, because when you are chosen, your process is different. Your lessons are heavier and your blessings come with responsibility. You can't move like everyone else. You can't talk like everyone else. You can't post everything, and you surely can't tell everybody what God is doing in your life, because not everybody who claps for you is celebrating you. Some people only applaud so they can count your steps. God says, when I elevate you, protect it. When I bless you, cover it. Because what I give to my chosen ones is sacred, and sacred things must be guarded. You don't owe an explanation for every blessing that breaks through your life. You don't have to justify your success to people who weren't praying when you were struggling. When you get rich, spiritually, emotionally, financially, don't announce it, steward it. Because the same God who raised you in private expects you to carry wisdom in public. There's a reason Jesus performed some miracles in silence. There's a reason Mary hid her pregnancy before the world saw it. Some things are too divine to be displayed too soon. When you're chosen, you'll understand that silence isn't secrecy, it's strategy. God will bless you in ways that make you want to shout it from the rooftops, but the Holy Spirit will whisper, not yet, because exposure too early can attract warfare you're not meant to fight. The anointing over your life doesn't need validation, it needs protection. So when God starts turning things around, when favor starts flowing, when opportunities begin to multiply, don't rush to prove your worth to people who overlooked your value. Move quietly. Let your peace speak for you. Let your fruit make the announcement, because the ones who tried to bury you will see that the soil only made you grow. And when you rise, rise with grace. When you prosper, prosper with wisdom, because chosen ones don't broadcast their blessings, they build from them. God didn't call you to show off what he gave you. He called you to steward it, to multiply it, to let your life become a silent testimony that favor needs no audience. Elevation requires discretion, not declaration. Because when God lifts you, he's not just changing your level, he's changing your responsibility. And responsibility requires wisdom. Elevation looks glamorous from the outside, but those who've walked through the breaking, the pruning, the tears, and the hidden years know that elevation is not just a blessing, it's a stewardship. And stewardship requires silence, caution, and discernment. When God begins to elevate you, he is trusting you with something sacred, and sacred things are never meant to be broadcast prematurely. Discretion becomes your protection, your covering, your shield against eyes that watch you but don't wish you well, mouths that smile at you but speak against you, hands that applaud you but hope you fall. Discretion keeps you aligned with God's timing instead of people's expectation. When you're chosen, your elevation carries weight. People see the rise, but not the refining. They see the blessing, but not the crushing that prepared you for it. They see the platform, but not the private battles that strengthen you for it. And because they don't know the cost of your calling, they can't be trusted with the details of your destiny. Not everyone who surrounds you deserves access to your elevation. You've got to learn that applause does not equal approval, and support does not equal safety. Some people want proximity, not to celebrate you, but to study you. They want information, not to intercede, but to interfere. And when God elevates you, you must discern the difference. Discretion is not fear, it's spiritual maturity. It's the understanding that revelation without restraint leads to warfare without preparation. Some battles you're not meant to fight, but when you announce every step God is taking you into, you invite enemies into territories they were never supposed to trespass. God elevates you in the spirit before he elevates you in the natural. And if the enemy can hear your plans, he'll try to interrupt the process. That's why God whispers his instructions. That's why he conceals your next move. That's why he leads you in quiet pathways before he reveals you on public platforms. Elevation is not just about rising. It's about rising wisely. There are blessings that grow best in silence. Seeds don't sprout under spotlights. They grow underground, hidden, unseen, covered. And you, chosen one, are the same. God grows you in the dark so no one can uproot you before you're ready. He hides your increase so people with wrong motives can't sabotage your soil. Discretion allows you to develop without distraction, to rise without resistance, to increase without interference. When God elevates you, he expects you to embrace the grace of silence, the discipline of restraint, the wisdom of moving quietly through the places he is establishing for you. Some of the most powerful moves of God happen with no announcement, no noise, no public validation. Think of Joseph, elevated in Egypt after being forgotten, betrayed, and lied on. His elevation wasn't broadcast, it was prepared. Think of David, anointed in private long before the crown hit his head. Think of Mary, carrying the Savior in silence before the world even knew she was chosen. God elevates quietly because destiny requires protection. If the enemy can't see what God is doing, he can't sabotage it. If people can't track your rise, they can't target it. Discretion becomes your defense against spiritual and emotional attacks. You got to understand that elevation exposes you. It exposes your gift, your impact, your influence, but it also exposes you to envy, to spiritual warfare, to people who don't want to see you become what God called you to be. And that is why discretion is not optional, it's essential. God is not just blessing you, he is training you to handle the blessing without losing the blessing. Because elevation without discretion leads to downfall. The higher you go, the more careful you must become, not out of paranoia, but out of purpose, not out of fear, but out of wisdom, not to hide from people, but to be hidden by God. When God elevates you, discernment becomes your closest companion. You must learn who can hear your victories, who can celebrate your abundance, who can be trusted with your process, and who must remain at a distance. Not everyone deserves a front row seat to your next chapter. Some people belong in past seasons only. Elevation reveals who is aligned with you and who is attached to you. Alignment supports your destiny. Attachment drains it. Discretion helps you identify the difference. When you rise, the wrong people either fall off or God removes them to protect what's growing in you. Discretion is not silence for silence's sake. It's strategy. When God elevates you, he requires strategic movement. A chosen one does not move impulsively. You don't announce every idea. You don't reveal every opportunity. You don't expose every blessing. You learn to build quietly. You learn to plan privately. You learn to let results speak louder than announcement. Because the loudest people aren't always the most blessed. Many times, the ones God has truly elevated are the ones moving quietly, humbly, intentionally, letting their fruit make the noise. Discretion lets God get the glory before people get the detail. Elevation comes with spiritual sensitivity. You begin to sense when a door is opening, when a shift is happening, when God is promoting you internally before anyone sees it externally. But just because you feel the elevation doesn't mean you announce the elevation. You must let God reveal what he's doing in you at the right time to the right people in the right season. Premature exposure leads to premature attack. Premature announcements lead to premature warfare. But when you move with God's timing instead of your emotions, he covers your rise with peace, protection, and power. Discretion also teaches you how to protect your peace in seasons of elevation, because nothing drains a rising person faster than trying to please people who don't belong in their next level. When you elevate, people will expect access without investment, influence without relationship, knowledge without loyalty. Discretion allows you to protect your mental space, your emotional capacity, your spiritual boundaries. You don't owe anyone a detailed explanation of how God is blessing you. You don't have to justify your increase or defend your progress. The chosen ones rise without needing validation from those who doubted them. God elevates careful hearts, quiet spirits, and wise mouths. He elevates those who can carry favor without flaunting it, who can receive blessings without broadcasting them, who can walk in abundance without losing humility. Because elevation is not just about rising, it's about rising in a way that honors God. It says, Lord, I trust you more than I trust applause. I trust your timing more than I trust attention. I trust your covering more than I trust my desire to be seen. And when you honor God with discretion, he honors you with continued elevation. Chosenness comes with confidentiality. God reveals things to you that he doesn't reveal to everyone else. He shows you visions, dreams, shifts, and opportunities that are meant for your spirit before they're meant for the world. When you guard those revelations, you honor the sacredness of your calling. When you protect what he is doing, he multiplies it. When you keep quiet in seasons of elevation, he increases you in ways that can't be traced, explained, or replicated, because God blesses those who know how to carry what he gives them. There will be moments when elevation makes you excited, and you'll want to share every detail with the people around you, but discernment will whisper, not yet. Elevation requires a maturity that says, I don't need to announce this to validate it. I don't need people to see it to believe it. I don't need approval to walk in what God is doing, because when God elevates you, the evidence will show up naturally. The fruit will speak. The results will reveal it. The glow will confirm it. You won't have to declare your elevation. God will display it for you. So when God takes you higher, move quieter. When he blesses you, walk humbly. When he increases you, stay covered, because elevation requires discretion, not declaration. And those who learn to protect their rise will keep rising. Those who learn to move privately will be sustained publicly. Those who learn to trust God with the unveiling will see him reveal things no announcement could ever compare to. Not every blessing is meant for public display, because some blessings are assignments, some blessings are protections, some blessings are spiritual deposits that God gives you to steward, not to showcase. When you're chosen, you learn quickly that elevation without discretion attracts the wrong eyes, the wrong spirits, and the wrong expectations. Blessings were never meant to be trophies you parade. They were meant to be tools you carry. And tools don't need to be advertised, they need to be used. God doesn't bless you for public approval. He blesses you for divine purpose. And if you expose what God intended to grow in private, you risk allowing unprepared hands to contaminate what heaven is cultivating in you. There are blessings that look beautiful but begin fragile. New opportunities, new ideas, new financial doors, new partnerships. They arrive like seeds, and seeds require covering. No farmer exposes his seeds to elements that could destroy them before they develop roots. In the same way, when God gives you a blessing, it often comes in seed form. It's not ready for spectators, it's ready for nurturing. It's ready for silence. It's ready for protection. When you publicly display what God is still developing, you expose your blessing to winds of jealousy, storms of doubt, and voices of discouragement. Some blessings die not because they lacked potential, but because they were displayed too soon. Not every blessing is meant to be clapped for. Some blessings are meant to be prayed over. Some blessings are meant to be hidden in your heart, like Mary hiding what the angel said. Mary didn't run into the streets shouting, I'm carrying a miracle, come see. She held it close. She treasured it. She protected it because she understood that divine blessings require divine discretion. She knew what many of us forget. When God gives you something holy, you don't expose it to unholy environments. You don't hand spiritual jewels to people who only see them as stones. Some people don't rejoice when you rise. They research. They don't celebrate. They critique. They don't support. They secretly compete. And if you reveal your blessings to the wrong hearts, they will try to attach themselves to what God never gave them. They'll try to manipulate your success or drain your increase. Not every blessing can survive the weight of wrong company. God is calling some of you to silence, not because he doesn't want you to speak, but because he wants to protect what he's doing. Your blessing is not up for public opinion. It's not a community project. It is a covenant between you and God. And this is the hard truth. Some people want access to your blessing without enduring what you endured to receive it. They didn't suffer with you, but they want to celebrate your gain. They didn't cry with you, but they want to count your harvest. They didn't pray with you, but they want to profit from your process. When God blesses you, he gives you wisdom to see the difference between those who genuinely rejoice and those who only want to benefit. Not every blessing is meant to be shared. Not every testimony is meant to be told immediately. Sometimes silence is your safety. Blessings carry spiritual responsibility. God doesn't bless you simply to make your life easier. He blesses you to elevate your purpose. And purpose requires protection. If you reveal too much too soon, you risk stepping into battles you weren't meant to face. You risk exposing your progress to people sent to interrupt it. You risk giving the enemy information he doesn't need to know. Satan doesn't fear your blessing. He fears your growth. He fears your wisdom. He fears the person you are becoming. And if he can't stop your blessing, he'll try to stop your belief in it by using people to attack what you share. That's why God says, keep this one quiet, because silence is spiritual strategy. There is a maturity that comes when you outgrow the need for validation, when you no longer need people to approve what God already confirmed. When the applause of others no longer determines the confidence you carry. You stop posting every milestone. You stop announcing every open door. You stop broadcasting every win, because you realize that God's blessings don't need marketing. They need management. They need gratitude. They need stewardship, and your fruit will speak louder than your posts ever could. Not every blessing is meant for the eyes of those who misunderstood you when you were struggling. Some blessings are for the season you're stepping into, not the season you left behind. God elevates you to shift your environment. He blesses you to move you into spaces where the blessing can thrive. People who only knew your past don't always deserve to witness your progress. Sometimes God closes doors on relationships when he opens doors of opportunity, because your blessing can breathe in old atmospheres. Protect your new season by refusing to display what invites old attack. Sometimes God hides your blessings not to keep it from others, but to keep others from harming it. He will give you wealth quietly, influence silently, favor discreetly. He will open doors without making noise. He will bless you in ways that even those closest to you won't understand. And that's intentional, because some blessings require privacy until they're strong enough to stand, until they have grown enough roots to not be shaken by external pressure, until you have strengthened enough spiritually to handle the weight that comes with them. The truth is, exposure invites expectation. The moment people see your blessing, they begin assigning responsibilities you never agreed to. They expect loans, access, explanations, opportunities, answers. They begin to attach themselves to your overflow as if it belongs to them. And suddenly your blessing begins to feel like a burden, not because God didn't give it to you, but because you let too many people enter the room. Boundaries are not selfish, they are spiritual protection. And discretion is one of the greatest boundaries you can build around what God gives you. Some blessings are not for display because they are part of God's long-term plan. He's not just blessing you for a moment. He's positioning you for a movement, a future, a generational shift. And if you reveal the blessing before God reveals the purpose, you may misinterpret what the blessing is meant to produce. Some things don't make sense when you share them too soon. Some blessings open doors you're not meant to walk through yet. God protects you from premature exposure by calling you into a season of quiet elevation. God gives you peace with certain blessings as confirmation that they're from him. But the moment you expose them to the wrong people, you begin to feel unease, pressure, confusion. That's because peace was meant to be the environment the blessing grew in. Peace is the soil. Peace is the covering. Peace is the confirmation. When you sense peace leaving, it's often because you allowed too many voices into a place God wanted to keep sacred. You can't protect your blessing and entertain unnecessary opinions at the same time. Not every blessing is a billboard. Some are blueprints. They are designed to lead you into deeper purpose, richer insight, more refined character. If you expose them too soon, you risk turning a blueprint into a battlefield. What God whispered in your spirit is not meant to be shouted to crowds who don't carry the grace to understand it. Some blessings are meant to be held close until God himself says, reveal it now. God is the one who appoints the moment of unveiling. Until then, your job is to nurture, not announce. And this is what chosen ones understand. It is safer to reveal the blessing after it is established than while it is emerging. Show people the finished fruit, not the fragile seed. Show them the testimony after God completes it, not the process that still requires protection. Show them the outcome, not the blueprint. Because what God is building in you is too valuable to hand over to public scrutiny while it's still formed. Protect it, guard it, cover it, honor it. Because not every blessing is meant for public display. Silence protects what God is growing in you. Because growth doesn't happen in noise. Growth doesn't happen under pressure to perform. Growth doesn't happen when too many eyes are watching, waiting, and weighing in. When God begins to elevate a chosen one, he almost always does it in silence first. He shifts you on the inside before he shifts anything on the outside. He strengthens your character before he expands your territory. He deals with your heart before he increases your harvest. And because that process is delicate, sacred, and deeply spiritual, it requires silence. Silence becomes the holy ground where God develops what the world will eventually see. Silence is not emptiness, it is incubation. It is where God hides you so he can heal you. It is where he transforms flaws into fruit, wounds into wisdom, and pain into power. You cannot rush what God is growing. You cannot expose what is still being cultivated, because the moment you expose something that is still rooting, you allow elements that can't uproot it. Some people see your promise and won't celebrate it. They'll stomp on it. Some people see your growth and won't support it. They'll sabotage it. Some people hear what God is doing in you and won't pray for you. They'll plot against you. Silence protects you from premature warfare. When God is growing something in you, anointing, wisdom, wealth, vision, he shields it with silence. Because growth that is exposed too early becomes growth that is interrupted. You don't lift a seed from the soil to show people proof that it's sprouting. You let it stay buried, unseen, covered, because hidden things grow stronger, they grow deeper, they grow unshakable. And chosen ones, the depth God is building in you requires privacy. What he's doing in your spirit is too intimate for casual conversations. What he's building in your mind is too precious for public platforms too soon. What he's grown in your life needs silence, because silence gives God room to finish his work. This is why God isolates you in certain seasons. This is why he separates you from people you once trusted. This is why he shuts certain doors, quiets certain rooms, and removes certain voices. It's not rejection, it's replanting. He is moving you into an environment where your growth is protected from contamination, because not every voice is qualified to speak into your development. Not every person is equipped to handle your becoming, and not every relationship can survive your elevation. Silence becomes the filter that removes what can't go with you. Many of the most powerful transformations you will ever experience will happen silently. You'll change without announcing it. You'll heal without posting it. You'll grow without telling anyone. And one day people will blink and say, when did they become this strong? They'll wonder, when did they rise like this? They'll ask, how did this happen? And the answer will be simple. God grew you in silence. He grew you away from gossip, away from comparison, away from validation, away from sabotage. He grew you where only his voice could reach you. And because you let him work in silence, your growth will be undeniable, unstoppable, unshakable. Silence is not weakness, it's strategy. Silence gives you time to listen to God instead of listening to noise. It gives you space to learn without pressure. It gives you clarity that crowds cannot offer. When God is growing something in your spirit, distraction becomes dangerous. Every conversation is a seed, and the enemy knows if he can fill your ears with doubt, you'll uproot your own growth. Silence protects your focus. It protects your spiritual sensitivity. It protects your ear from voices that don't align with your calling. You cannot hear God clearly if you're listening to everyone else loudly. Chosen ones understand the discipline of silence. They know when to speak and when to be still. They know when to reveal and when to conceal. They know when to move publicly and when to grow privately. Because silence is a sign that you trust God more than you trust attention. It's a sign that you care more about obedience than applause. It's a sign that you honor the process more than the platform. And God blesses those who protect what he plants. He blesses those who don't uproot their growth by rushing the unveiling. He blesses those who let him finish his work before they showcase it to the world. You got to understand that silence starves the enemy. As long as he doesn't know what God is doing, he can't strategize against it. The enemy is not all-knowing. He relies on information. And many chosen ones lose battles because they talk too much. They reveal too early. They expose too openly. They share visions with people who don't have vision. They share dreams with people who dream too small. They share blessings with people who secretly resent them. Silence, on the other hand, keeps the enemy guessing. He can't target what he can't track. He can't block what he can't see. He can't ruin what he doesn't know is rising. Silence is also where God develops strength. Growth in silence produces endurance. Growth in silence produces discipline. Growth in silence produces character. Public elevation requires private preparation. If God gave you the platform without preparing your foundation, you would crumble under the weight of influence. But because he grows you quietly first, you stand strong when he reveals you. You mature in places no one sees, so you won't break in places everyone sees that you have to be taken care of. Silence builds you into someone who can carry blessing without bending, responsibility without breaking, and abundance without arrogance. Silence also reveals who is truly for you. When you stop sharing everything, you begin to see who is connected to you for access rather than relationship. You begin to see who values you beyond what you give. You begin to see who checks in without needing details, who stays present without needing information, who supports without needing proof. Silence exposes hearts. It shows who honors your boundaries and who only wants to break them. It shows who respects your growth and who tries to rush it. Silence protects your circle by revealing the ones who don't belong in it. Silence protects your peace. When you grow quietly, you avoid unnecessary opinions, unsolicited criticism, and draining conversations. You avoid spiritual interference. You avoid emotional chaos. You avoid mental exhaustion. Peace becomes the environment where God cultivates your next level. Peace becomes the soil where your purpose roots deeply. Peace becomes the atmosphere where your confidence rebuilds. Silence breeds peace, and peace breeds progress. What God is growing in you is too valuable to expose too early. Your vision is still forming. Your breakthrough is still developing. Your healing is still unfolding. Your increase is still aligning. Your character is still being refined. Don't let impatience push you into exposure that becomes sabotage. Don't let excitement make you reveal what God told you to protect. Don't let validation tempt you into vulnerability with the wrong people. Silence is not punishment, it's protection. It is the sacred covering that ensures your growth reaches maturity before it meets visibility. There will come a time when God will say, now reveal it. There will come a moment when what he grew in silence will be seen by everyone. But when that moment comes, it won't be fragile anymore. It won't be vulnerable anymore. It won't be breakable anymore. It will be strong, rooted, established, undeniable. And you'll know that the silence wasn't wasted. It was working. It was building. It was strengthening. It was preparing you for a level you couldn't have survived without it. So stay silent where God has called you to be silent. Protect what he's growing. Guard what he's planting. Nurture what he's developing. Because silence is not the absence of movement. It is the atmosphere of transformation. And chosen ones grow strongest when no one is watching. Your fruit will speak louder than your announcements. Because when God is moving in your life, you don't have to convince anyone. You don't have to prove anything. And you don't have to defend what heaven has already ordained. The blessing itself becomes the evidence. The transformation becomes your testimony. The elevation becomes the explanation. The fruit is the only announcement a chosen one ever needs. People may doubt your words. They may question your intentions. They may underestimate your journey, but they cannot deny your fruit. Fruit is undeniable. Growth is undeniable. Change is undeniable. And when God produces fruit in your life, even your enemies have to acknowledge that something divine is happening. Fruit doesn't grow overnight. It grows through process, through pressure, through pruning. And that's why your fruit holds more authority than your voice. Announcements are easy. Anyone can say they're blessed, say they're chosen, say they're favored. But fruit requires endurance. Fruit requires faithfulness. Fruit requires showing up in seasons when no one is applauding, no one is watching, no one is affirming. Fruit is the result of what you did when the room was empty, when the soil was dry, when your heart was heavy. Fruit is the outcome of every silent prayer, every lonely night, every surrendered moment, every painful lesson. And when that fruit appears, it preaches a sermon louder than anything you could ever post or pronounce. When you understand that your fruit is your voice, you stop chasing validation. You stop trying to prove your worth to people who can't see it. You stop arguing with people who don't understand your calling. You stop explaining yourself to people who never intended to support you. Because explanations drain you, but fruit positions you. Explanations spark arguments, but fruit sparks admiration. Explanations invite debate, but fruit invites respect. You don't have to defend a tree that's bearing fruit. Its branches defend themselves. Its abundance speaks. Its maturity speaks. Its divine nourishment speaks. Your fruit becomes your defense against doubt. God is raising you in such a way that you won't need to announce your arrival. You won't need to broadcast your growth. You won't need to convince anyone of your transformation. They'll see it, they'll feel it, they'll encounter it. People who once doubted you will be forced to reconsider. People who once ignored you will quietly observe. People who once questioned your calling will start seeing what God placed in you. Because fruit demands attention without asking for it. It draws the eye, draws the spirit, draws curiosity. Fruit carries authority. Fruit carries weight. Fruit carries heaven's signature. That's why chosen ones move differently. You don't have to reveal everything. Your fruit will reveal it for you. You don't have to clap back. Your fruit will clap back for you. You don't have to explain your growth. Your fruit will explain it for you. You don't have to fight for your name. Your fruit will protect your name. When God blesses you in such a way that even your silence is loud, even your humility is impactful, even your presence shifts atmospheres, that is fruit speaking. That is God proving what you never had to promote. Fruit is what separates noise from impact. Anyone can make noise. Anyone can talk big. Anyone can pretend. But fruit requires authenticity. It requires depth. It requires endurance. A tree without roots may look good for a season, but it will fall when the wind comes. But a rooted tree, a tree that has survived storms, surrendered to pruning, endured seasons of dryness, that tree bears fruit.